everybody and welcome to this week's Tune In Tuesday. So I am really excited about this week's episode, and I've been teasing at this for quite some time now because it's been a project we've been working on for some months. Now, many of you may remember the Tune In Tuesday where we explored the coastal erosion taking place down on Constantine Bay, and we've been tackling this erosion by burying old Christmas trees in the sand dunes to retain the sand and build it back up when the wind blows it. Well, due to this coastal erosion, there has been a site behind the sand dunes that has been revealed. Now, this site looks almost like an old archaeological dig. There are pieces of plastic erupting from the sand like you would imagine a dinosaur fossil to be. But unfortunately, it's not anything as cool as dinosaurs. It is just plastic. And we've been keeping a close eye on this issue. And as more of the sand is taken away, more of the plastic is revealed. So I've done some digging to reveal what it is and why it's there. And I found out that when they used to rake the beach in the 90s, some of the detritus that they were raking off the beach, they would deposit in this site. And there's all sorts of stuff there. So lots of the seaweed has been decomposing that was raked into this area. So it's left behind this blackish, brownish scar of decomposing seaweed. Now, of course, any plastic that was in that seaweed that had come in on the tide has been left behind. So at this site, if you dig down about a foot, you will find this very distinct layer. And I wanted to remove this layer, of course, because as the winter storms are coming, there's every opportunity for all of that plastic that's been building up over decades to be washed into the ocean. So we took a team of our most dedicated volunteers down to the beach with spades and shovels to really dig out this issue. Check out what we found. saw from the footage there, we had an epic adventure down on Constantine Bay, and we removed 10 sacks filled with a mixture of microplastics, polystyrene and anything else that was in that very distinct layer that you saw there that we'd excavated from the sand. There was one really gross, really strange thing that we found, and that was that big boulder-like alien egg, and we believe that this is either a fatberg or palm oil that's been dumped at sea that in the cold water has conglomerated into this boulder shape that you saw. It is really tragic to see this kind of thing that had been buried in the sand for decades, but we're very pleased to say that it's now removed, and we're going to be looking into that and how it got there and what problems it may well have caused if it got into the ocean in the winter storms. But as you saw, we were finding a real mixture of things there, and it made the mystery even bigger of how and why this area had gotten so bad. So we decided that it'd be worthwhile to sort out everything that we found in that plastic burial site. So with two of our fantastic volunteers, Julie and Claire, I headed up to Treviska Garden Centre to our polytunnel to see what we found. Those clips there was just half of what we found down on Constantine Bay, and you saw as we added the mixture of sand and plastic into those buckets of water, the sand would sink to the bottom and the plastics would rise to the surface, and there was absolutely millions of microplastics and broken up pieces of polystyrene, and it really gives an indication of the scale of the issue and what had been buried there for decades. Well, as I said, this was only half because we couldn't carry all of it in one go. Well, luckily we had support from the golf club and they went down and got the other half. So I went back up to Treviska Garden Centre to sort out the rest. Have a look at this. So after 3 hours down on Constantine Bay with 14 volunteers and then further sorting up at Treviska Garden Centre, we can now report that we found in total 5 paddling pools worth and 5 plastic trugs worth of microplastics. Now, it's really interesting for us to look into exactly what we found, because from that we can identify the sources of all of this plastic pollution. So I've decided that this video is actually going to be split into 2 parts. We've done the how we removed it and where it was coming from, but now we need to look into the sources of this plastic pollution. So for next week's Tune In Tuesday, I'm going to be looking more into the sorting process and showing you exactly what we were finding, because the mystery has only got bigger. We know that this is the site where some of the raked items from the beach were dumped, but there must be something else to it. That I think that there's some source of sewage related items, because we were finding a ridiculous amount of cotton bud sticks. So we're going to be looking into this further. So check out next week's Tune In Tuesday to see exactly what we found. I'd like to say thank you to everybody for watching, and of course all of the volunteers that helped us to make this week's video possible. It's been something that I've been wanting to do for a while, so it was really good to get down there and get some of that plastic out. So thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you next week for next week's Tune In Tuesday.